And good evening, good Saturday evening. It is May 30th of 2020. We are on the Tim's Tiny Arcade YouTube channel. Glad you could join us this evening. Going to be a fun evening talking video games with the man behind the channel itself, Tim Landis. I'm your host this evening. My name is Tom Young. You can find me on Twitter at Tom Talks BBP. I usually do a baseball podcast, big baseball fan, but of course that's not happening right now. So my other passion is video games. I love video games. I play them all the time. I got friends that play a lot of video games too. And one of my very good friends is the man who is behind this channel. His name is Tim Landis. He is the host of Tim's Tiny Arcade. Tim, thanks for joining us this evening. How you doing?
Thanks. Hey, I'm doing good today. How you doing today, Tom?
Doing very well. And the cool thing is this is live right now on his YouTube channel. So
Yep.
We want you to chime in. Let us know if you enjoy this, getting a chance to learn more about the man himself, Tim Landis. We're going to talk about his life of video gaming, what got him hooked on this, why he started doing this YouTube channel. And if you have any questions at all, we would like to know what your questions are for Tim. Just leave a comment here on the video. And at the end of the podcast here, we will ask Tim those questions. But first of all, anyone who might be watching this for the first time, maybe they don't know who you are, what your channel is. Tell us a little bit about Tim's Tiny Arcade. What is it that you do on this channel?
I do a lot on any video game possible. I like to go to arcades and video record different arcades, because I'm an 80s kid, so I grew up in the arcades, and they've kind of made a resurgence over the years. So do a lot of different arcades, do reviews on games like Atari 2600. I'm big into that. So I'll review a lot of games on that system, like the homebrew scene. I also will do NES, Super Nintendo. I've done a few videos on those. A little bit in the current systems, dabbled on that, but not as much on that. But I play current games also. I mean, I'm a gamer that plays everything from the Atari 2600 to, the Xbox One. So anything on my channel gaming, I will do it. I've done little handheld games, little portable arcades. So anything gaming related that I think's fun, I will try to put on my channel. Just try to have a lot of fun on my channel, so that's basically what my channel's about.
Yeah, well, no doubt it's a lot of fun. You've been doing this since December of 2017. I think 159 videos you've put up since then. Whether it be taking a look at a game from your incredible game room, or going to a convention or something, there's always something neat to check out on Tim's Tiny Arcade. Now, obviously, you're a big a gamer, no doubt about that. But growing up, tell us a little bit about your life in gaming. Now, what moment did you realize that, hey, video games are going to be a big part of my life?
Well, the first system I actually owned was my dad got us a Pong system. So that was just a system where only thing you could play on it was Pong. It was not like your Atari 2600 where you had cartridges. But then really what got me big into it was going to my mom's side of the family. My uncle at the time had like 60 Atari 2600 games, which was amazing. And he had the Atari 2600. That was my first introduction to that system. And I remember we just sit and play games, all day. I remember playing Warlords was the first game. They got me hooked. That was a 4-player paddle game. And just sitting around playing that. I remember playing basketball, combat, very simple games. But so much fun. And that's what got me hooked. And that's when we got our own Atari 2600 at my house. And then we collected and bought, every game that we could afford. I don't remember how much games were back then, but I think they were still pretty expensive. But I was lucky to have my parents fortunate enough that they would let me buy quite a few games back then.
Yeah, so how big was your allowance? Did you have a big enough allowance to to get that stuff?
No allowance. They bought the games, so I was very fortunate. And then my brother, me and him would play. simple games like Home Run. Graphically, they're not great, but back then, I mean, we play sports games all day long. They had boxing from the Activision, just simple games that would take a few minutes to play some of them. But me and him, we just every day, that's all we did was play games. I mean, I did get outside, don't get me wrong, but that was my big hobby as a kid, was playing a lot of Atari 2600.
And so, of course, Atari 2600 is a large focal point of your channel. But you also got a chance to dive into Intellivision a little bit. Tell us about that.
Well, yeah. Also, growing up, when I got a little bit older, when the Intellivision came out, my neighbor Steve Carmichael, he ended up getting one. He lived right next door to me, and that system was totally different than the Atari 2600 with the controller, and the graphics were a lot better on that system. I was never a huge fan of the controller, but we made it work. But we would play NFL, MLB. The graphics were so much better, and we'd have a good time. It was a special treat to go over there and play. He'd come over to my house to play Atari. We'd go over to his house and play Intellivision. So it was pretty cool that not everyone got to play the Intellivision, because that system didn't sell near as well as the Atari did. But I was lucky to grow up to be able to play both systems as a kid.
Now, as you got older, of course, new systems came out. Which route did you go as you got older? Did you go Nintendo or Sega? Did you go PlayStation or Xbox?
Well,
what route did you go?
Nintendo was the next system I went to. I do own an Atari 7800. That was in between there, but I never owned it at that time. I moved to the NES and Super Nintendo. I was a Nintendo guy there for a long time. I remember one of my friends, Steve Carmichael, brought, I believe it was Smash TV for the Super Nintendo, and I'd move on that system. Now, back in those days, though, I would get, when a new system would come out, I would unload my old system to get cash, get rid of all the games and stuff, which I'm kicking myself now if I kept all that stuff.
I think a lot of us are doing that. Like, why couldn't we keep that stuff? Some of it has value today, too. Like, why didn't I keep that copy of Bubble Bobble or Snow Brothers or something? What was wrong with me? I
know. I probably sold it at a garage sale or traded that stuff into GameStop later on at some point. But yeah, I went that route. But then I had some oddball systems that a lot of people didn't own. I did own the TurboGrafx 16, which a lot of people didn't own. And I owned a 3DO Panasonic system. I spent some big bucks back then to get it. Those systems were a lot of fun. And I wish I'd have kept those also. TurboGrafx, though, where I live, Toys R Us was the place to get the games. But where I lived, our Toys R Us didn't carry it. So I would have to travel like an hour away to go shop for games to a town, Bloomington, Illinois. They had a Toys R Us there, and that's where I would get my TurboGrafx games back then. But that was a real fun system. I miss that system. I would like to get that at some point because I own quite a few games for that system.
Gotcha. And when you and I met you when I was in high school. You were working at a local grocery store there. I got a job there, and we became friends at that store because we both had this love for video games. And when I met you, it was around the time of the PlayStation 2. And we played a lot of PS2. We played a lot of Xbox 360, Xbox One nowadays. But about 4 or so years ago, all of a sudden you were like, I want to go back to Atari. I want to go back to retro gaming. And just out of nowhere, there was just like this determination you had. It's like, okay, I want to go back to the past. I want to relive some of these great memories. What was the trigger for that? What happened that made you want to, change the way your gaming life went?
Well, to be honest with you, I have what I call a retro closet because my game room is so full that I have a TV actually in my closet in my game room up here, and it's a shelf up there. And I started just collecting Atari 2600 cards. They're dirt cheap. If you want to collect for a system, I mean, you can get a lot of games for 99 cents, a lot of the cartridges. But I started collecting the cartridges and setting them on this top shelf in my closet just for like some art. And I had probably like 20 cartridges. And then I started following this thing on Facebook called the Atari Facebook page. And there was a gentleman in there, his name's Ryan, started a competitive weekly challenge of Atari 2600 games. And boom, and that got the ball rolling. I started collecting as many Atari 2600 games as I could get and tried to join every tournament. I ended up buying a minicade. It had all the Atari, well, all the, not all the homebrews, but it had all the old Atari 2600 games on it, and got competitive in playing that weekly. And then I even take scores off playing that weekly and now put it on a website called highscore.com, just because I play a game very competitively, for an entire week. So that's how it kind of started, was the Facebook page. And I don't know, it got the juices flowing again. I started remembering how great some of these games were. I hadn't even thought about Atari for probably 30 some years, and now I've got over 300 some games for that.
Yeah, and we're going to try to show some pictures of this collection of yours, because over the last 4 years it has become insane. But we are live on the Tim's Tiny Arcade YouTube channel tonight. Tom Schumacher checking in, Joe Brannon hanging out, Arcade USA stopping by. Just want to support you, they say. They want to congratulate you a bit on your trading card. And I was going to ask you about this, but let's go ahead, and since Arcade USA brought it up, let's talk about this trading card deal. You can go to thewalterdaycollection.com, learn more about Walter Day, the Twin Galaxies arcade up in Ottumwa, Iowa, a big name in retro gaming. He's got these trading cards, and sure enough, Tim, you are a trading card, which is pretty cool. Tell us about that experience.
Well, I met Walter Day, been 4 years ago. Me and my friend Tom Schumacher went to Ottumwa, Iowa, and Walter was there, and they had some tournaments there, and had some of the Hall of Fame people coming in and stuff. So it became kind of like an event to go to, and it's only maybe 4 hours away from us. So it was really exciting to go there for the first time. But I've made the trip over there the last few years for the the Hall of Fame. But yeah, he does the trading cards. I've done a few videos for him. This last time I was in Ottumwa, Iowa, I did one with Jordan Dorrington on Galaga. He's like the #1 player in the world. It was just an improv interview. Me and him hung out all day when I was over there. And that video did real well. It's got over 10,000 views, and it's my #1 video all the time, because he shows a lot of the tricks in Galaga. And I don't know, Walter Day, I'm a super nice guy, and he just trying to promote everybody in the video game industry. And I'm lucky enough to be one of the people he's putting on a card. So super excited that I will have my own little trading card.
Yeah, and we just had it up right there, number 3322.
So there's a lot.
He's made a lot of trading cards over his career, and you're officially one of them.
I am officially one of them. It's pretty exciting, because I've collected, when I go over to those conventions in Ottumwa, usually you can get your card signed for who's ever getting a new card if they're there or whatever. And I've got quite a few cards. I like collecting them, because when I was a kid, I always collected like the baseball cards. So now I like collecting video game cards. Yeah. So I've kind of moved up to that.
Another thing you're collecting too, along with what appears to be everything else there in that room of yours, is Atari 2600 games.
Yes.
And your collection is rather massive. Of course, the 2600 had tons of games, tons of cartridges. How close are you to a complete collection? Will you ever get a complete collection? And if you can't, what are you missing right now that you would really like to have?
I will never get a complete collection. There's too many. There's a few rare ones that you'll never get. But the big one on my list right now is Double Dragon for the Atari, or by Activision for the Atari 2600, because I have all the loose carts of Activision. Been pretty fortunate. I'm a kind of collector. I don't go to eBay and try to get them. I like going out and finding the games. That's how I kind of collect them in stores. If it's a Facebook, I've traveled 60, 70 miles to go get a game. I got a game called Tax Collector one time. It was kind of a oddball game, but they had it like listed for $2. And from where I live, I thought I was going to Clinton, Indiana. Come to find out, I was not paying attention. It was Clinton, Indiana.
No.
But I said I'm going. It was kind of a shady area. I drove around, couldn't find the house. I kept driving by it, and there was this dude that was finally standing outside, a little shady, but I got it. But yeah, so Double Dragon's a big one. It's gotten so bad for me. I collect different label variants now. I may have different Space Invader, labels, different colors of them. I don't know. It's just gotten to the point I just like collect them because, like I said, it's cheap and I like doing it. It's just it's a hobby of mine. It's kind of fun.
Well, we're taking a look right here. This cabinet alone is just the Activision games, correct? So this is everything but the Double Dragon. So you have your own cabinet set up just for Activision games.
Yeah, I got all my Activision games sitting right there, and all these games that I've got, I've tested and I got them working. So I'm pretty proud of that. Activision games are some of the hardest ones to get going, though. Sometimes you may have to put the cartridge in maybe 20 times and just get it right because they didn't have the covering in the back of them. So yeah, those are all I love Activision. You can see behind me, there's a few wall art of Activision. I thought back in the day, they had some of the best games with Activision.
Yeah, that wall art is rather impressive. I can see you got River Raid back there. I think is that Mega Mania there on the far left. I think you got up there. So
yeah.
Do you have a favorite Activision game? I know they got a lot of good ones for the 2600.
They have a lot of good ones. Beam Rider, Pitfall. I forgot how great Pitfall was. I played and even Pitfall 2. I played in that tournament I was talking about earlier. I don't actually have the wall art. I should have got Pitfall is probably one of my favorites. Sports games, I love skiing. Skiing's an individual game just for time. I love playing skiing. If you're talking 2-player game, Activision, me and my brother boxing. That was a lot of fun. We love playing boxing together. But Activision just made it. They had better those games look better. I don't know how they did it, but they made those games more colors on the screen, better art, and the patches. That was competitive back then. They would you would have to try to get a certain score for them. Get your Polaroid out, take the picture, send it into them. They send you a patch if you can meet the score that they wanted. So I did a lot of that back in the day.
Yeah, and what we were looking at here is these are non-Activision games that you have. So talking about that big old collection of yours, you have a whole nother cabinet set up just for that. A lot of Pac-Man memorabilia as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a lot of Pac-Man stuff. I've kind of run out of room. I'm going to have to expand that. There's going to be a point where I will expand my game room. I'll have another room open up, and I'll probably have to get a little bit bigger cabinet to put all the cartridges in because that one is literally packed. And as you can see there, I collect a lot of loose cartridges. Now, everyone's got their own way of collecting. It's cheaper route to go and space-wise for me. I have a few complete in box, but it's to me, I'm fine just collecting the loose card if I can find it and get it to work.
Another thing you do, Tim, besides the Atari 2600 stuff, of course, it started because of that, but then you're like, okay, Intellivision, TurboGrafx, and you got the Mini K. We'll get a picture of that up here in a minute. You got one of those Pandora devices as well with a lot of those built-in games. But one thing you really got into is Arcade1Up. And these little 3/4 size cabinets that have come out with 3 or 4 games on them that are supposed to, make you feel like you're back in the arcade again. You got quite a few of these. Tell us how many you have and why are you so into the Arcade1Up brand?
Well, when I first saw them, I thought, how cool is this that you're going to have you could build your own arcade in your home. That was kind of always a dream of mine to own an arcade, which it never happened. But having some of these Arcade1Up machines, I don't know, it just gives me that feeling of, you know, back in the 80s. First one I got was Centipede with the trackball. Now, the trackball on those, you can upgrade those. There you can see the Galaga and Space Invaders. Those are pretty good machines. And that I built that platform on them. These machines are only 4 foot tall unless you put a riser on them, and that brings them up to 5 foot.
Well, there you go. And that riser too, you hooked up lights to that so that they go off with the sound, right?
Yeah, that one there, that's a platform. It's only about 4 inches high. A lot of people say, well, it needs to be higher, but I sit down to play games and I got some low stools and it's fine for me. And those don't have any risers on those. Right now, I think there's a riser shortage because they're pretty hard to find, but
I got you.
I do have short enough stools that I can sit down and play them comfortably. So, and to be honest with you, I didn't pay much for a lot of those machines. I do have 7. I think I've only paid regular price on 2 of them out of the 7. I'm kind of that person that will bargain hunt for them. Some of them I paid as low as $50 or $100 for.
That's pretty impressive for these machines. And then, I mean, they don't have a lot of games on them as compared to like your Minicade or your Pandora, but the fact that you can play them like the old school arcade, you got the joystick, the couple buttons. If I were to get one, I think I'd get that one there on the right. I'm all about the Final Fight.
Yeah, you are a big Final Fight guy.
I'm a huge Final Fight guy. I love, taking Mike Hagger and trying to clean the city up. But also you got these. You got these 2 as well, and then your latest one. I'm really curious to try the Golden Tee. I bet that one. How does that one work on here?
Actually, that's probably one of my favorites. I never actually played it in the arcade, but I started seeing some reviews on it. It's got an upgraded trackball compared to the Centipede one, and it's a lot of fun. When I have people over, that's usually the one that a lot of people will congregate around. You can play up to 4 players on that one, so a lot of fun. I love that one. I think that was more of a bar arcade one back in the day because I wasn't a person that would go to the bar, so I didn't see that one in the arcades, but really a great game.
Yeah, a lot of fun, and you got 4 different versions on there, so you can play Golden Tee for the longest time, and you said even people that aren't video game fans have come up to there and played some Golden Tee. So
yeah, even my wife will play that one occasionally. Yeah. She's not a gamer.
Well, one thing too, kind of like with you, retro gaming as a whole has seemed to have made a comeback. I mean, of course, you got these new systems. You got the Xbox, you got the Nintendo Switch, you got the PS4 out right now. And they're pumping out games that, are massive with incredible graphics and sound and all that stuff. But there seems to be a growing demand for wanting to go back to, the way it was, Super Nintendo, Nintendo, Sega, and even all the way back to Atari like you have. Why do you think retro gaming has made the comeback that it has?
I think it's nostalgia. I mean, everyone wants to relive their childhood. I mean, that's what it is for me. Sometimes you get that feeling of being a kid again and seeing those games. And it's fun, actually. Just talk about Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, for example. My nephew, we were at my parents' house. We got one of those little minis. The mini NESs when they came out, and to see him try to play that, being a person that always played, with the like the current controllers with the dual analog sticks and stuff.
Yeah,
it was so fun to watch him play. He struggled so bad. He couldn't beat Glass Joe for the longest time.
He can't beat Glass Joe. Come on.
It took him a while. It took him a while to figure out. But it's nostalgia. I mean, for me, I don't know. I mean, just reliving all that stuff. And the games are simple. They're totally different than the current games. Current games, a lot of them are huge story-based games, unless you're doing the online. So back then it was, and I think people took a lot of chances with some of the games that came out back, in the day. And a lot of things are like Call of Duty. It's, another one every other year. Not saying that's a bad thing, but back then I think people took a lot of different chances on games. I mean, there's some crazy games, titles back. There's like the Atari 2600 Deadly Duck. I mean, trying to think of some of Chase the Chuck Wagon. They're just crazy games. Some of them were bad. but I think people took a lot of chances, kind of like the indie games of today. And I think those are some, they take a lot more chances. I think the indie developers do. But I'm not against Call of Duty and all those, because I will play. I'm a Battlefield guy, and you know that. So I enjoy playing like this too. Yeah, Battlefield 1, almost to 150.
So you're almost max ranked on this, and so you still get the modern gaming in too. So you get the full spectrum of the gaming, the console gaming.
Yeah, I don't know what you would call me, but I will play. I play anything, long as it's fun.
Yeah.
If it's not fun, I'm not going to play it, obviously. But yeah, I play current systems also, and I'll probably end up getting the new Xbox. But I just like getting the new systems, and then the new Amico coming out later this year also. So that'd be another one that's on my radar that I want to get.
Well, and because you'll play just about anything, you have just about everything up in your game room, and you've also have decked it out too, and it looks incredible, especially when you have the lights off, like we're seeing right now. Like, just check out.
Yeah,
this looks like you're at like some sort of '80s night at a bar or something. I mean, it is pretty awesome. Did you have a plan for when you were developing this room, or was it just kind of, I got something new, I'll throw it there and just see what happens?
A lot of that wall art that I had back there that's behind me now, I had like 2 of those in my closet where I had my TV. I put them in there, and the next thing I know, I wanted to get more, so I had to move them out of the closet. I need more space, and I built this wall behind me. Now my daughter thinks it's claustrophobic in here with all the wall art. But hey, I mean, I love box art. That had some of the best box art, and just, I just love coming in this game room and looking at all that stuff. It just reminds me of being a kid.
Yeah, and you can see some of that wall art right there. Do you have a favorite one of those posters back there? One of those box covers?
Oh
my! There's just too many good ones to choose from. I know Activision had a lot of nice, colorful ones.
I like the River Raid one a lot. I need to get a Pitfall one, like I said. I like. There's an NES one I like. You can't really see it, but the Contra and Super Contra ones, I love those also. I have those posters up there also for the NES. Spent a lot of time playing Contra. So I mean, they had good. Konami made some good art too, I thought, for the NES.
Yeah, and you play a lot of Contra now too. Like if there's a new Contra or a Contra style game that comes out, you're all over it. Like, have you come across any newer Contra games that are as good as the original, or is it just?
Yeah, there is one. I can't off the top of my head. I have it on my Xbox One. I can't think of what it's called off the top of my head, but there is one. The last Contra that came out, terrible. It got bad reviews. I think they just slapped the Contra name on it. I'll put it in the comments when I think of it later, but there is one on the Xbox One that it plays just like it's like Contra from the old days, like the NES version. It's a good game, but yeah, those kind of games, hard. You get hit by a bullet, you start over. They're hard, but they're very rewarding. I like those kind, and plus they were co-op. It's always fun to play co-op on those games. Some of my best memories are playing, couch co-op.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think another reason why maybe retro gaming has kind of made a comeback. A lot of couch co-op seems to be going away. I mean, you still get a few every now and then. One of my favorite, modern games, Borderlands, is a couch co-op style game. But yeah, mostly everything is online now, and online is good. For certain things, but there's just something about, like, when I was living back there in Illinois with you, just coming over and hooking up the systems and playing Battlefield in the same room, just stuff like that. I mean, that was just some of the best video game times of my life. And speaking of that, do you have a video game moment, whether recent or growing up, that just sticks out to you as just a really incredible moment?
Well,
maybe something that happened after you started doing this channel, like things that you never thought you'd be able to do, or just something game related.
Well, I can think of a moment when I knew I was a real serious gamer. I remember being at my parents' house, And my brother was working in the grocery business, I think for Jewel at the time, and he left for his shift. And me and my friend Tom Schumacher were playing. I think it was either Bonk or Super Mario. I can't remember if it was on TurboGrafx. What I think it was Super Mario. And I remember we were playing that, and he came back home after his shift, and we had never left,
Yeah.
and we were still playing that game. And he could not believe we were still playing that game after his entire work shift. So, yeah, that's when I kind of knew it's like, man, this is I don't know if it's a problem or what, but at least everyone knew where I was, right?
Yeah, some people will tell you it's a problem. It's not a problem. I mean, there's nothing wrong with video gaming,
No.
and especially with all that's been going on the last couple of months. Video games seem to be an escape for some people. That's something that I know for sure I do. Just to help pass the time.
Yeah,
I'm a
no sports on TV. Yeah, no
obviously
sports.
big baseball guy with my baseball podcast, but nothing to watch there. So video games. That's what I do. That's what I play. You've had a chance to go to a number of conventions, something you've done with your channel as well. Any great memories from those, whether it be meeting someone that you've always wanted to meet, just a great event put on? Like, is there a certain thing that sticks out about those conventions you've gone to?
Going to Milwaukee Midwest Gaming Convention. Love going up there. Didn't get to go this year because of COVID. We've met, me and my friend Tom Schumacher, we both go up there. Meeting Duke Nukem was probably one of the coolest things. The voice of Duke Nukem, and listen to a seminar that he put on, just telling stories. Also, some other people I met up there I really enjoyed meeting was David Crane from Activision. Loved hearing, just like hearing the stories of how they made the games. They'll spend about an hour in there talking to people. But the Midwest Gaming Convention for where I live is probably the biggest and the best. Usually go up there for a couple days. I've obviously been to some small ones. We went to Bloomington, Illinois this last year, and luckily we got to go in there. They moved. It used to be in May, and this year it was in June, and it was a lot of fun. They had like a little mini Kong off, playing Donkey Kong, and just everybody's always so nice at those conventions. I look for games in there. Usually I'll do some recording. If there's like a small indie developer in there, I'll usually talk to him and record and, try to show some of his gameplay of his game that he's trying to get out there.
Well, one thing, obviously, you like to go back and look at some of the older stuff on your channel. Tim's Tiny Arcade, obviously, you're watching it here on his YouTube channel right now. You can also check out Tim on Facebook and Twitter just by going to those places right there. You'll post some neat stories from time to time, interact with some of the other members of the retro gaming community. There is a new console coming out, and no, I'm not talking about the Xbox Series X or the PS5. There's this Intellivision Amico coming out, maybe getting lost a little bit because it's not the big name. It's not going to come at you with the big, AAA production. But it's something that you are very, very excited about. Tell us a little bit about what you've learned about the Amico and why you are such a big fan of this future console and what you plan on doing once it comes out with the channel.
Well, I'm really interested. I've already ordered one. I've one of the Founders Editions, the wood grain one. I have that one coming. Hopefully I'll have that a few days before the 10/10/20 release. They come packed. I don't know. I've been hearing different numbers, definitely 6-7 games on the system, but I don't know. Just I've seen some gameplay on it. Night Stalker, for example. That was a game I'd play with my neighbor a lot, and just seeing these are like reimagined games. So it's got the Night Stalker name, but they've reimagined the games, and it just reminds me of my childhood with updated graphics. And this system, a lot of the games, all the games I've heard are going to be couch co-op. Every game that comes out for the system, you can obviously play single player, but you will be able to do couch co-op. I think it comes with 2 controllers, which you don't see that anymore. I think the last system might have been Super Nintendo, maybe, that came out with 2 controllers. because a lot of systems you just get the one
Yeah,
controller. And,
yeah.
yeah, there you go. Night Stalker.
Yeah. One of the number of games, and I think another thing too. The price point of this thing is going to be much more favorable than what you'd see with an Xbox or a PS5, right?
Yeah, I believe the one I ordered was $299, but I'm getting a lot of stuff with it. Excuse
Yeah.
me. And then I think you can get them for around $249. They got different colors of systems, and like I said, 2 controllers. But then you can use your phone if you got. There's going to be a lot of party games on it, so I think it's going to be a system like my wife, my daughters will play with me, because I mean, right now they don't play games with me. I mean, if I'm playing a game, Atari, it's usually by myself because I'm doing like a high score challenge, or if I'm playing Xbox, it's usually online or, a story-based game. So I think this will be a family system, and that's what I'm kind of looking forward to on this system. And there's going to be a lot of, there's the white system there. But they're going to have the Atari Reimagine. I think they got 12 Atari games
Awesome.
coming out for it, which is pretty cool license for those. There's the Breakout game. That game looks amazing. I think that was Snafu. There's Moon Patrol. Definitely looking forward to that. There's the Missile Command. I heard it might be 8 players, which is just
8 players.
Yeah.
Like is it an online thing, or is it 8 players locally?
Locally, everything's local. There's no online except for you downloading the games, and every game's going to be affordable. I believe every game said $9.99 or below, and I heard they're going to also have physical purchases, which I don't know how that's going to work. I don't think they've really exactly said how that's going to work, but you'll be able to get something, for your collection at home and still get the game. Obviously, there's no cartridge slot. There is an SD slot to store games to add more memory on it. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And that's what I'm gonna. When that comes out, I think I'll buy a lot of games. I'll probably be doing a lot of YouTube videos on the Amico.
Okay.
That's my plan. Games, like I said, be very affordable, and I think I'll spend a lot of time playing that system. The controller is very interesting. Nothing that I've ever seen before. It's a touch screen, kind of like a phone. So games like Missile Command, you'll be able to move instead of like, with your Atari 2600 or whatever joystick. That game was a trackball game in the arcade, and being able to just move your finger on a touch screen, I think, will be very accurate, even maybe more accurate than the trackball itself. So I can't wait to get my hands on it and try it out.
And I guess this console is slated to come out October. Is that what I saw? Is that so? When you got the bigger systems, which we're still trying to figure out how much they're going to be. Well, I don't know if COVID-19 is having an impact on that. You got this system coming out sooner. Going to be coming out cheaper, more than I doubt any of those are going to be $299.
No,
and you're going to have the ability to play locally, and maybe with people who aren't as big into video games like you and I are, something that's a little simpler but still has plenty of entertainment value. And it looks like the Intellivision Amico might be the way to go for you then.
I think so. It's definitely it's on my radar. Obviously, I've already ordered it, so highly looking forward to that system. And I think it's going to be a game where we can get the family together and play some games. I know they even talked about like poker. Just having the the cards right in front of you. Knowing you can see on your controller on the screen. They throw the flop down on the TV and stuff like that. I mean, it just it's very unique, and I'm looking forward to gaming in a different way.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun, and definitely look forward to seeing your coverage of it here in a little over 4 months, right?
Yeah,
3 to 4 months. That's going to be coming up quickly. Another retro company, they're still around. They've been making some games, but Sega has kind of teased us with something here the last week or so, where they got this big announcement coming out on the 4th. And I believe that's also when PlayStation, Sony's looking to do some things as well, showing off some of the new features of the PS5. But here comes Sega saying, hey, we got something we want to mention too. There's a lot of speculation. Is it a console? Is it a partnership? If you had to have a gut thought on it, what do you think Sega's planning to announce on Friday?
Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to try to get back into the gaming market with another system or not. I mean, the Amico is going to try to, put their niche into this, the market. Maybe Sega is. I could see them. I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know that they. My guess would be they're not. Maybe they're gonna. I'd like to see them make games for the Amico. Maybe that's what they're going to announce. I don't know. Maybe they're going to partner up with Amico. I don't know. That could be part of it. I don't know, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one. But I'm very interested to see what they're going to do.
Yeah. I guess this next week's going to be interesting. The PS5 is going to do something, and now Sega, a company known for the Genesis and Sonic the Hedgehog, is looking to maybe do something as well. So obviously, retro gaming is your thing, but you do play games on the current consoles, the current generation. If we weren't doing this event right now and you were playing games, what can we expect to see you play today?
On current system,
or just in general, like maybe you still play a lot of Atari. Just like what are you playing?
I mean, if I am playing Atari, it's usually whatever on that Atari Age Facebook page, which is nice because that means I'm playing a lot of different games I never played. If I'm playing on my mini arcade, a lot of times it has MAME on there. I love playing like the 80s arcade games. I'll play Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man. I spend a lot of time playing Donkey Kong. That's probably one of my favorites of all time. It's awesome to be able to have that on my mini-cade because a lot of the home consoles didn't have all 4 levels, and it's fun to play. I love playing Donkey Kong. Current system, I'm working on Battlefield 1. I know that's been out a few years, but it's been a grind to try to get to the max level 150. I'm almost there. I like that one better than I like the Battlefield 5. If I got to level 50 on that, and then they moved the rank up on that. I don't know what they moved it to, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot of time. I mean, there's a lot of people already at 150, but I'm working my way up there. I've maxed out Battlefield 2 and put. God, I don't even want to know how many hours I put into that. I know.
You put a ton of time into that game.
I know that you can get on the system and look it up, and it was too much time really if you go back and look. But had a lot of good times playing that also.
Yeah, chatting with Tim Landis tonight, as you can see right there. Of course, we're on the Tim's Tiny Arcade YouTube channel right now. If you have not yet, you like what you see, if you like retro gaming, wanting to learn more about his adventures, whether it be just the games he has in his incredible game room, going to various conventions, interviews with various people at those conventions, reviews of certain games, hit that subscribe button below. I think it's below. I don't know where it's at on the channel, but find it, hit that subscribe button, give Tim some love and follow along as he's going to keep playing retro games. And also, like about a month or so ago, there was like a new Street Fighter 4 that came out. And even though it was a new game, it was obviously had a retro feel to it, being a Streets of Rage games. And so, like, when that came out, you were hitting that a little bit as well, and you're going to keep doing things like that.
Yeah, those kind of games bring back a lot of memories. Even though I didn't own the Sega Genesis, the Streets of Rage, I have played them on current consoles and love playing those games. I mean, it's like the Final Fight kind of game, the beat 'em up games, and I love those kind of games. So, I like the new Street Fighter. I think it's or Streets of Rage. It's got they did a good job with that game. It's got a new feel, but also that old feel mixed in there. And you can unlock a lot of those old characters in it too. Me and you've played a little bit of it together online. It worked pretty well overall, I thought.
We have. We did it on my Twitch channel a while back. The Tamachu on Twitch, it's a fledgling Twitch channel. I haven't done a ton on there, but I think going forward, you and I might do a little bit more on there. I think we'll hop on there doing some co-op action, and then just the main thing is just having conversations, just chatting with the gaming community, having a good old time. I mean, it's about having fun. That's what video gaming is all about. Anything you'd like to say, Tim, as we get set to wrap things up here on the first ever live YouTube video on Tim's Tiny Arcade?
Yeah, if you guys like me doing this kind of stuff, we may do some more of this. Hopefully in the future, we'll be having Dan Kitchen coming onto my channel, and we'll be doing a format hopefully like this and talking about his new game Gold Rush. Looking forward to that for the Atari 2600 because he made a lot of games for Activision. So I don't know. I mean, I'm at like 800 some subscribers, 810, I think it is, trying to get to that 1,000 mark. Like I said, I've told Tom this before. I never thought this channel would grow as fast as it did because I was happy if I even got to 100. I said, somebody's going to watch me because I'm started when I was 49 years old doing this. So a little late to the ball game, but still having a lot of fun with the channel. So we just try to have a lot of fun on this channel, and I hope people will subscribe if they want to see stuff about games. And I try to, respond. If anyone makes a comment, I try to respond to them in the comment section on my channel.
We do have a couple comments here. Once again, we had Joe, we had Tom Schumacher, Joe Brannon, Arcade USA stopped by for a little bit, just showing off some stuff there with your game room. Tom wanted to know, what's the arcade on your trading card? What are you standing in front of? And I'm going to try to pull that up real quick for you here.
Oh, from my trading card?
Yeah.
That was down at Free Play. Down in Texas. When I went down there, that was a awesome arcade down at Free Play. I think that was in Arlington, I believe it was. Arlington, Texas, I think so. I got family down there, and yep, there's a mural behind there of a Donkey Kong mural behind there. I'm standing right next to Donkey Kong because that's when I go to an arcade and I see Donkey Kong, I always gravitate towards.
That's where you go, huh?
I've got 100,000 on MAME, but probably maybe close to 90,000. On the arcade version. I'm not a great Donkey Kong player, but it's just the challenge of. I just love that game. I can always go back to that and drop a lot of quarters into that. That's a Free Play arcade though, and it's a nice arcade. I think they had had two big rooms. I would say they had probably 100 arcade machines in there. If I was guessing, I can't remember. I did a video on it, so I'd have to go back and look. But I think next time down there, I'm going to go to Free Play Fort Worth. They got a new one down there, and definitely want to hit that one up when I go down there. Hopefully, after this COVID-19, I'll be able to get out on the road and maybe hit a few more arcades because I haven't been able to do anything on the road for a while.
Yeah, it's things have been closed. I know we got one here in Amarillo, Texas that just opened back up, but I guess you're not allowed to play the games yet because of all the touching, I guess. So
yeah.
So hopefully, for these arcades that have popped up across the country, which is great to see, hopefully they're able to get through this and can remain open.
I know, right?
They're a lot of fun to go to. One final thing, you have some world records, right?
For highscore.com, I do.
Yeah, highscore.com. Tell us about that a little bit and what you've been trying to do there in terms of be the best at some games.
Well, a lot of it just stems back to me playing those Atari games for that highscore.com or for the Atari Age tournament. He puts the list out for the whole year, and every week, you'll compete in one game, and usually I'll take that score and post it on there. But I have hit Mousetrap. I think once it hits 9,999 for the Atari Age, if you got to that point, you could get a first place. So I got to that score, but it rolls at that point. So I end up making a video and doing the Mousetrap. There's highscore.com. Doing a video on that one. It's at the world record on theirs. I played maybe 2 hours or something like that. I probably could have went longer, but I just wanted to beat their score. The other one I got was Gyrus.
Okay.
2600. I think I had around 600 or some thousand points in that. I'd have to look at it, but yeah, highscore.com. You just got to get people to vote on your scores. You got to, show some evidence. Videos do a lot better than pictures, and you got to put your gamer tag on there and stuff. But I've got like a 92% rate on there, so I'm doing pretty good on there. If I put a lot of scores up on there.
Yeah, it's kind of neat playing around on this thing. There's tons of versions of how you can record a high score on here, and then you can just click on
that's the arcade. I think I
Yeah.
did that. Mine was Atari 2600, I believe, emulated. I probably played it on my my MAME, if I remember correctly. I don't think I played it on the actual hardware for that one. Some games I play on my minicade for it. Other games, it depends. Paddle games, you got to play it on the Atari 2600. There's no replicating the paddle on a any other system. A game like Kaboom, you have to play it on the. You got my name up there on that one, or no?
Yeah, they think you're from Alabama. But,
I know.
They got your name up there.
I know. I can't change that. I know. It also says St. Joseph, Alabama, and all of it. That's what it is.
But
it is what it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Tim, thanks for joining us tonight, man. On your channel. On your channel. And if you watch this live, appreciate it. Thanks for chiming in. If you're watching this after the fact, leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought of the interview here with Tim Landis of Tim's Tiny Arcade. Maybe we'll do some more of these when new things come out. Learn more about the man behind the channel. You see a lot of the games in the game room, but now you got to know more about why he is the way he is and why he no longer has any room in his loft to
that's the truth.
To put any games. But Tim, thanks for joining us tonight, man.
Right, thank you very much.
Yeah, my name's Tom Young. You can find me on Twitter at Tom Talks BBP. I normally do a baseball podcast, but of course, we're all about video games right now on Twitch as well at the Tomachu. And once again, Tim, of course, right here on the YouTube channel, but you can also find him on Facebook. Just type in Tim's Tiny Arcade, and also on Twitter at Arcade Tim. Thank you very much, Tim. Thanks for being a good friend. Thanks for hosting a great channel, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, Tom. I'll see you online soon.
Right.
See ya.
Probably so. And thanks to everybody for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you again next time on the Tim's Tiny Arcade YouTube channel. Have a good night.